Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. This is my podcast. Appreciate you being here as usual. First and foremost, a little bit of business to attend to. Each and every week, I have new people reaching out to me saying that they are new listeners of the podcast. So I feel like it's warranted to kind of touch on the basics if you are a new listener. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you for coming and checking out the podcast that I work very hard on. So it's very refreshing to hear that there's new people that are just finding out about it because, we've been doing this for 8 years. We got over 300 episodes. So there is a long list of people that are backlogged for you to listen to on the podcast. So it's a cool feeling for people to reach out and say, like, I'm a Pittsburgher. I didn't know that you had this podcast, and I didn't know that there's all these people that you've interviewed, and it's pretty cool to hear of the new people. Obviously, it's just I kind of think I've been doing this for a long time, so anytime people tell me that they've never heard of me, I'm like, damn, you got a whole catalog of people to listen to, of all these great businesses around the city. And it's fun to do. It's fun to, sit there and talk to people at length and put out these podcasts each week to kind of give us a glimpse behind the scenes of all these places we love, whether they're, venues, whether they're restaurants, whether they're, musicians, artists, anything like that, of all these different people I have in here. The conversations that I have with them are, kind of behind the scenes, really. We go to these places and we patronize these people that we enjoy as far as, the product that they are putting out. Like I said, whether it's food, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's, attending their venue or going to their store, we go to these places and we support these people. And it's like, how often is it that you get to learn about the people who did this at length, from their own word of mouth? Often you could read an article in a newspaper. Often you can maybe catch them on like a quick, TV segment or something like that. But, what I try to do with I'll Call You Right Back podcast is I try to, bring the people in here and let them just open up and talk about their lives. It's kind of a therapy session if you think about it. I ask these people these questions from, the beginning to where they are today. And I think that it's unique what I'm doing here. So, again, if you're new, I urge you to look back in all these different episodes if you enjoy what you're hearing this week. There's a couple of ways you could support the show that I beg of you to do. So the best way and the most free way to do it is just simply by sharing the podcast episode. Whether you're on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, you could share the episode, and that will bring a ton of new eyes to people that have never heard about me. So that's a great way to do it. Another way to do it is just simply subscribing to the podcast on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Takes no time at all. You could follow me on Instagram at I'll Call You Right Back if you want to keep up to date with all the new guests that I'm having on in the future and all the stuff that I got going on in my life. And that's basically the best way that you could support the show. If you want to go one further, I got some great merchandise and I got some ad and sponsorship opportunities, and you could learn more about all of that on my website, I'llCallYouRightBack.com. Whether you're a business that's looking for a unique way to sponsor or advertise their business, I am opening up sponsorship and ad opportunities within the podcast. We could do ad reads in the beginning of these intros like you're hearing right now. You could sponsor an episode, and you could learn all more about that on I'llCallYouRightBack.com. And like I said, I've been doing this for 8 years. So the last 8 years, I've been fortunate enough to grow a long list of potential guests that I'm trying to work through. I got a lot of people that want to be on the episode, so I'm very thankful for that. But if you are someone who doesn't want to wait and kind of wants to jump the front of the line, I have a service that's skip to the front of the line package, almost like what you see at Kennywood. You don't want to wait, and you kind of just want to get the next episode. There's a service for that as well. You could go on my website, I'llCallYouRightBack.com. There's a services tab, and you could learn all about that. If you want to, you could, pay a little fee, and you could just skip all these people that I got, and you get priority for the next episode. I'll get you in here. We'll do a full audio episode, full video episode. I'll cut out some reels, and you'll have an opportunity to talk about pretty much anything that you're working on. You know what I mean? That's really what we're doing here. Beyond that, that's all I ask you. We're back with another great guest, though, and this week is kind of a special week. We have 2 guests this week, which doesn't often happen. I try to stick to one guest at a time, because it's kind of difficult to interview more than one person at a time. I get into the weeds, so to speak, of people's lives. So having 2 people in at a time, it kind of splits my it kind of splits the time, really. You don't want to just lean into one person and focus on their life and leave the other one hanging there. So it's a special week, and it's an exciting week, because Danielle Mashuda and Maddy Lafferty are 2 incredible people in the city of Pittsburgh that are doing incredible things for the music scene, and I'm excited to bring them in this week to learn more about it. So just a quick breakdown. They run a business called Keystone Artist Connect, which is basically a general contracting firm for all sorts of different artists. These people specialize in booking, they specialize in stage management, they specialize in social media, they specialize in large-scale event planning, music festivals, you name it. And they both do this because they both have history that is unique. So Danielle spent a lot of her time in the restaurant industry the past couple decades, kind of figuring all that out, working at bars, working at restaurants, kind of putting things together that way. And Maddy spent some time working in some local music business. She's worked at Spirit. She worked for Deutschtown Music Fest. She's just a person that wears many hats. They both do. And they both bring different things to the table that make up Keystone Artist Connect. They manage different musicians. They manage different, just different things throughout a musician's day to day. And it's pretty fascinating, because I love music, and I don't really know what goes on behind the scenes and what all goes into booking tours, what all goes into the day to day of a life of a musician and the manager behind that musician. And we kind of get a glimpse into that this week. They come in and they tell me what goes into their day to day, how they came up with the idea to start Keystone Artist Connect, and ultimately, one of the most notable things that is more recent, they recently acquired Club Cafe in the south side of Pittsburgh. And if you are someone who, goes to shows or knows music or anything like that, Club Cafe is an iconic venue that's been around for years. So many people have got their starts. People that I've had on here have talked about it at length. Clinton Clegg talked about it and how important it was to his life. Reed Connolly has been on here, who is the reason that I'm actually having a conversation with Maddy and Danielle today. He told me that these 2 people are doing great things, and then I should look into them. So I have to say thank you, Reed. I'm sure he'll listen to this, and he is, he's an alumni of the podcast as well. I've had him on. He's a fantastic musician based out of Pittsburgh, who is currently traveling the world with Zach Bryan, who is arguably one of the biggest music stars in the world. And, it's incredible how many great people we have in the city doing great things. I'm excited for the episode. I'm excited for you to listen to the episode, whether you're an artist yourself, whether you're someone who's just a music nerd who likes the ins and outs of the business, but we get a good glimpse what goes on behind the scenes and everything that goes into making these things happen. So thank you to Danielle, thank you to Maddy, thank you to Reed again, and the rest of the team that is working with them at Keystone Artist Connect and helping them revive Club Cafe. I am excited to see what they do with it, and I am excited for you guys to check out the episode. So without further ado, episode 304 of our Call You Right Back podcast with Keystone Artist Connect and Club Cafe.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll call you right back podcast. Yeah, if you want to put the cans on it, it'll
Do you know Dom Brock?
It sounds good.
I think that name sounds familiar too.
She was
This
on
is
it.
so official. Mine I did on a cell phone and in a hotel room.
I tried
with
it.
Drunk idiots.
I try to be official.
This
you
is
know.
cool.
For many years, I was in my apartment in Ingram, and like,
That's where I live, Crafton.
oh yeah, we were right by the Crafton Shopping Center, right at the Ingram of Foster and.
It's right down the street from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like we were there for years, and like I would kick my wife out, and I would just have like a little recorder, and we would just be sitting on the couch. I had, drug Rick Seaback's ass up in my second floor apartment, no AC. We were in the trenches back then, but yeah, I mean, I try to be a little bit more official now.
Yeah.
Is the volume good for both ends?
Perfect.
Sounds great.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in a
I know, it's cool. Like a tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people are so like they don't like hearing their voice.
Oh, I hate mine.
I mean, that's all right. You get used to it. Yeah, you could pull these up just
And this is so pretty.
pull that up. Yeah, I
love it
appreciate
here.
it. I appreciate it. I finally feel like it's getting to where it needs to be as far as like feeling like my own space. Before it was kind of very sterile, had like cream colored walls with nothing on it.
The landlord special.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you making it out here today on a weekday.
Of course.
Now, I've came across Ian's just through, Reed. Okay, so Reed told me a lot about both Ian's, told me about what you're doing, and told me that I should look into this. And to my fault, it's taken me a little bit of time just because he told me a while ago at Nate's show with Amico up at Woolly Bullies.
Yeah.
This was a while ago, and he was like, you need to look into what they're doing. And I was like, I will for sure. And then I just kind of forget about, so many people tell me about like cool people doing good stuff, and it's hard for me to like keep track of everything. But then,
Which is a good thing. Lots of Pittsburgh talent.
there's so many people
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh that are doing like awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And fortunate enough, I've been doing this for long enough where people are they want to be on the show. So it's like, I've got no shortage of great guests telling me their life stories.
Cool.
I like it, but I don't really interview more than one person at a time a lot. This is a good occasion.
She can talk most.
No, I want to know about both Ians. I know that you both have like kind of different backgrounds. I know, Danielle, you were kind of in the food service industry, and I know you were in the, I saw that you were working with Deutschtown Music Fest for a second.
Yeah, I used to work for a production company for a while, which is how we met.
Okay.
Work there.
Are you both from Pittsburgh?
Yep.
Yeah, Virginia originally, but I grew up here in Dormont.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, to like kind of keep this as organized as we can.
Sure.
Will you give me a little? I want to dive into a little background to both Ian. So, I mean, obviously, you run Keystone Artist Connection right now, and what is that for people that are listening that don't know?
Yeah, it's a event management and artist management company. So we, have a roster of artists that we manage. We expanded to Texas last year, actually. So we have our partner Kelby Drew running stuff down there, and we're expanding to Nashville this summer. But started out in Pittsburgh with WIP was our first client, and we did Summer Music Fest with them. We were there pretty much like event people on retainer for a while. So that was cool. That was our first client. And then we work with like Walnut Capital, Bakery Square, Southside Works with Revive Marketing, and like anytime they need music booked or help running stuff for a day, we're the people.
That's awesome. And when did you say this started?
2022.
March
of 22. So I mean, like, how does this come to be? I feel like that's like it's an interesting thing, like artist management and everything like that. I mean, I feel like a lot of places come to be whenever there's a need for it.
Yeah.
Want me to tell the...
Sure, go ahead.
So Reed is actually how this came to be. Reed and Kristen, his wife. Maddy and I were both working for the local production company, and things weren't great there. So I had quit, I think it was end of August, early September of 21. And Maddy had gone away for a wedding, came back to not the best situation. She was still working there, and I'll leave all that out. But we went to have lunch, and she was telling me, she's like, I think I want to quit. She had this great event. It was the first event she ever did.
At Trace.
I never go out on a Monday. I never go out really ever. I went out on a Monday night. She had like 100 people on a Monday night for an artist networking event. It was incredible. So we had lunch the next day, and I was like, well, I think I'm going to start my own business. You want to start it with me? And she was like, yeah. So she quit, and Keystone Artist Connect was born.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was Reed and Kristen who, they were like, you have been working for people you don't like for so long. You always want to help artists. You're always involved in the community. Just do your own thing.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I came across Reed just through like, I was trying to think how I even, kind of come across what he does, and had to be through someone else like recommend. Oh, actually it was Low Bar. It was Low Bar Cocktail. Lisa told me, we were talking about music, and she was like, oh, you should talk to, Reed Connolly. Like he's involved with all this, and he has a great story. And then it kind of just spider webbed out from that. Reed turned into Amiko, and then Amiko turned into Nate. And then I kind of started to be aware of all the different things regarding like music in the city. And I mean, that's not really a world that I was ever like super knowledgeable about. I was never in like a band, and like the bands that my friends were in growing up were like metal bands, and it was all very self-starters. There was no like management back then, really. It was just like people trying to put together like basement shows and random shows. So it piqued my interest to like kind of learn more about this. So I mean, what's like your background, Danielle?
So I've always been, it's my biggest regret. I used to play guitar when I was young, and then I turned 18 and got a Trans Am and quit playing guitar. And it's like my biggest regret in life, because I didn't realize my whole life would revolve around music. So it always has. I've always gone to concerts, festivals, been friends with all the local bands, been a part of everything. But I was always in the restaurant industry. So I hated school. I tried to go to college. I moved to Florida actually because I got busted. These girls that didn't like me told all the bars that I had a fake ID, so I couldn't go see live music in Pittsburgh anymore. So I moved to Florida. I was like, well, my life's over. I have to leave here. So I moved to Florida and just got into restaurants, and I made so much money. It was just so easy. I tried to go to college, and I just kept hating it. So I just kept going back to the restaurant world. So it was always between restaurants and music. And I guess just moving home, and then getting into the production world at where we worked together. And then that's how we got into this. I've always I worked at a venue in Denver called the Soiled Dove. So that was like kind of where my love for the industry came. The first time I got to work in it. So I did all the hospitality and helped the talent buyer and all that good stuff, and got to know some really cool artists. Like I met the Avett Brothers like before they blew up, and hung out with them and bought all their merch and all their CDs, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. So that was kind of what inspired me to be a part of the industry. And then I don't know, I just kind of infiltrated it. It's crazy. I'm friends with all my favorite bands, and you never thought that would happen.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I just kind of did it.
What was your original idea of what you were going to go to school for, though, whenever you thought you were going to go to college?
Marketing and PR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm just bad at school. I hated it.
That's understandable.
Yeah, I hated it. So.
I mean, with all the people that I've talked to on here, that's usually like the through line. People that are doing things that they have manifested out of pretty much nothing.
Well, and hence
I hated school.
Connection piece of it. It's all about relationships and connecting with people and building those relationships. And I feel like you can get a lot farther in the world with that. And we don't have student loans, so I don't.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah, so we're good with that.
And Maddy, what about you? Like, what's your background in all this?
Yeah, so kind of the same thing. Like I grew up going to concerts all the time. Danny and I talk about all the time, like if there was an obvious job that we learned about, or like a program whenever I was going to college that was like, you can work in the music industry, like I definitely would have done it, but Same. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I went to Duquesne for a couple years, dropped out, got my insurance license, started working for Aflac for a while, and then I was home for Easter, and my dad was going through old stuff, and he was like, I have this camera I'm not really using, like you've been going to a lot of concerts, why don't you like take it and go just like play with it, it's yours, don't sell it, like if you don't want to do it, give it back. But so I took his camera home and then started showing up to like Millvale Music Fest in Deutschtown, and one of my best friends, Sarah, was working for HereCore, the production company we used to work at, and I was doing a lot of just like free work, just like showing up, and was like, I want to help you, like this is awesome, your job is so cool. And then my boss at Aflac, Jeff, was moving on to like a bigger and better position for him, and he was like, hey, you can come with me, or like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I think I'm going to try to work at this company. And I kind of just started showing up until they gave me a full-time job.
I love that.
And then she ran the company, pretty much.
I love that. That's cool. So I mean, like, you kind of just like, you both kind of just like fell into this. You mentioned something that's kind of interesting, you know, back going through school, like preparing, you know, as you're in high school and you're trying to figure out what the hell you're going to do.
Right.
That's not really like something that's like a parent, that's like an option, is like, oh, I could go to school for this or that. And now, you know, in today's world, it's like more acceptable to be someone who like falls into the arts and turns the arts into a career. Whereas like, I'm not sure how, I'm 35, so like I don't know how old Ian's are, but like my, you know, like whenever I was in high school, it was still like looked down upon to like
absolutely
do anything secondary, like any trades, anything like that.
Not a real job.
100%.
Yeah.
You're like, you're either going to go to school to be an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer, and if you're not, you're like a failure.
Right.
Where now it's like they're trying to like shepherd you into like the trades and everything. You're like, yeah, you don't need to go to, you know, this crazy schooling.
And you make so much more, in my opinion, unless you're the doctor, the lawyer, or something like that, you can make so much more money in the restaurant industry, you know, like, or those secondary jobs. Like I made 3 times what all my friends made working 9 to 5s.
Yeah.
You know, and it was easy and fun.
Yeah.
Like
And
sitting behind a desk is like, I could never imagine it. I've never done it.
I know.
Maybe when I think I sold I think I did telemarketing when I was like 15, you know, for basement waterproofing. That was the last time I sat.
You're
at a
like,
desk.
I'm done with this.
Yeah, I hate this.
So, I mean, as you like kind of, you know, navigate both your lives through all this, you said that you were in Denver working at a venue. So you kind of just like climbed the ladder through that?
No, not at all. I was working there. I was the restaurant manager, but we had a venue downstairs. So it was like a 400 person listening room. We had Nathaniel Rateliff play there. We had the Avets play there. We had like huge people play there. And that made me fall in love with it. And I was just like, this is kind of a cool job. I want to be a talent buyer, but I didn't know what that meant really. And then I ended up I moved home because my family was here and I just felt like it was time to go. So I moved home in 2008. My dad passed away in 2010. I was living in Cleveland and I moved back to the city after my dad passed, and that was when I was just kind of like, life is too short. I want to do something I love. I never used to travel. I did used to go to concerts all the time, but now I go to festivals all the time, and I go all over the world to see all my favorite bands, and I just had it snap, and I was kind of like, all right, I'm done with the restaurant industry. I mean, I was making a ton of money at the time. I had worked in every corporate restaurant. I was a corporate chef, a corporate GM, making tons of cash, but I was miserable.
Yeah.
So I quit to go work for Andorra as a catering manager, and I made like $14,000. Like, but I made commission and whatever, and I loved the event planning side of it. So I did weddings and all that fun stuff, and then decided, I was like, I'm putting a lot of money in these people's pockets, so I'm gonna just go do this for myself. Yeah. So me and the girl that I worked with left there, started our own company, and then we're making tons of money doing catering and events. And then I opened a restaurant, and then ended up doing the nonprofit with my buddy Pete, and that's how I met Maddy, and kind of just shifted all focus to music and events.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you really,
a big risk.
Yeah, you really went through like, you know, open a restaurant, all that. Were you, and you said you were cooking at one point?
Yeah, well, I was a corporate chef. I mean, I could cook, but I really would just managed everyone.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's wild. So, I mean, I was in restaurants for 25 years.
So whenever you go and you know, open this, you know, what did you call it? Talent booking?
Talent buyer.
Talent buyer. That's like the person at a venue who books all of the shows. So where I worked, we had a talent buyer. He was one of my best buddies. So I just like did everything with him, and then I did all the hospitality for all the artists when they came in. And I just fell in love with that piece of it, like making everybody happy and getting to know the bands. I thought it was really cool. Yeah. And then that's what Maddy ended up doing with Spirit. She was their talent buyer. She did running and hospitality. So we both kind of fell in love with it the same way, but in different places.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as you both are like kind of like, you know, navigating through this, Maddy, how long are you like you said you kind of started showing up to that place until they gave you a job, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
It wasn't very long.
how does it progress into that? So whenever you did get a position there, like what were you? You were the talent buyer there?
No, so they're a production company, so they do like lighting, staging, audio, visual, drape rentals, like stuff that you need technical wise, basically. There was some booking, like sometimes clients would be like, hey, do you know any bands that you want to put on this festival that you guys are working, and we'd throw some names out. But the artist side, really, for the first, I would say, year and a half, I was doing like administrative work starting out there, so like bookkeeping and payroll and making sure the calendar was in check and giving info to all of our staff, like sending the audio engineers out and all of that. And then Dave, the owner of that company, was like, hey, we're short staffed, we have all these gigs coming in, like you're gonna learn how to do audio, you're gonna learn how to do video, lighting. And I learned pretty much every aspect of production, and then started production managing there. So going out on all these shows, helping build the stage at 5 a.m., setting up the lights, setting up the audio. And I remember like quite a few times artists showing up and being like, where do we park? Where do we get water? Why hasn't anyone introduced ourselves yet? Like, what are we doing? What time's our sound check? And I'm like, why don't you guys know this information? And then, you just kind of like get to talking to people and fall in love with them. And I feel like artists sometimes are treated like just show up and like sing and go home, and people forget that like they're people and it is a job. And maybe because they're recording an album in their basement and you don't like see it firsthand, like a waitress or a banker or whoever you interact with on a daily basis, it's like, oh, they don't have a real job and just show up. And that's like, they work harder than most people I know. And that is kind of what made me want to like work with artists more. I love the tech side of it too. It's so fun. We started, Danny, Sarah, Miles, and I, who all worked there, we started like a live stream during COVID to raise money for artists. And Dave was great with that. He was like, any gear you want, like take it home. And we set up like our stations and reached out to all these artists and raised like $10,000 for people during COVID doing live streaming. And
wow,
that was a lot of fun too. And
it was cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how you met a lot of the local, it's kind of how you got your foot in the door with all of the local artists.
Yeah.
And Maddy has really taken ownership of Pittsburgh, because we started everything here, and then I started tour managing and working with bands on the road, so I haven't been here as much in the last 2 years. And what she has grown is incredible. She's so well respected in every community in the city, with every venue. We work with everyone. We work with Thunderbird, we work with Spirit, we work with Smalls. We want to collaborate. It doesn't need to always be a competition, because the more we work together, the more successful everyone's going to be. The venues, the artists, and that's how we're going to be happy and make money.
Yeah,
eventually.
rising tides lift all boats.
yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting that you both kind of have like a different look at the sides of all this. Like you saying that you had like your production background and you had your like hospitality. Yeah, that's really cool to think about that.
Yeah.
Now you, Danny, you just said that you've kind of been on the road. You said you're doing like artist management.
I've been tour managing, so I've been out on the road for tours with different people and going all over the country. And the reason I started it is, when we started this company, we didn't know what we're doing. We're like, we're probably gonna make $0. Like, let's just try it and see what happens. And we've really grown over the last 3 years in trying to learn and figure out what artists need and how we can help them most. And we realize there's not one straight answer for that. Some people want booking, some people need complete development, some people need record distribution. Everybody needs something different. So we've really grown and adapted to the way we do things.
Yeah.
But booking is everyone's worst nightmare. Unless you're a booking agent, you don't want to do booking. Artists don't want to do it. Management doesn't want to do it. So in my brain, I was like, well, if I'm out on the road and I'm going to all these venues that I email that don't email me back, I'm going to meet the promoters. I'm going to meet the bar owners. I'm going to have their numbers in my phone. And that's what I did. So I've built up this huge network of people over the last 2-3 years that I was lucky enough to meet. Big festivals, smaller venues all over the Midwest and Southeast, and places that our artists need to play.
Yeah.
And so now I can make a phone call and be like, hey, Sean and Carla, can you book Nick next October? And they'll answer, because I made that, I shook the hand, I looked them in the eye.
Yeah.
Where they can just ignore you forever if they don't know who you are.
It's interesting to because like you said, I feel like, as someone who's like outside of the world, like I don't really know a lot about, like what goes into booking a tour or something like that. Like we just, I mean, I bet it is. So I want to ask you a little bit about that. So, I mean, you becoming like I want to know a little bit about the booking end of it all. Like, so let's say we just saw Nolan Taylor at Thunderbird. And I know that it seemed like, he's not like a big scale artist.
Up there, though.
Yeah, he's definitely getting up there, but he's still like reachable for like the outside world, where it's like seems to be that like he kind of has like a smaller team, whereas like if you have like a Zach Bryan or like a Charles Wesley Godwin, like they kind of have like a huge team.
Yeah,
that goes
it gets
along
bigger
with
and bigger as it grows. I mean, Zach, he's got a bigger team than anybody.
Yeah.
But like Nolan's probably on the same booking agency as Charles.
Yeah,
and a lot of times. That's why I think Club Cafe, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, is going to really help us as well, building those relationships with those booking agents. There's the big players in the game, just as anything else. There's big booking agents, media, like kind of national, regional, local, that same kind of scale, but with booking agents.
Well, tell me about like the smaller end of it all. Like, how do you step in and take over booking for like the smaller artists?
It's really hard because
sending out 3,000 emails a week and hoping someone gets
and
back
getting
to you.
maybe one response.
And that's really what it is. Like you're just sending emails to venues and saying like, hey, I have an artist. Would you like to, host them?
So then if you're a booking agent and you've been doing this for 3 years, you've got a good network. You probably have some kind of software that you're working off of. If you're the big dogs like William Morris, WME, and CAA who have Chris Stapleton or big bands like that, then if you're a smaller artist that builds your numbers, which is kind of where we are, we're with the smaller acts and we're trying to help them build to where they need to be to get the booking agents to get these bigger shows and build their numbers and get bigger venues, right? So I really believe it's all in who you know and all where you are at what time. And it's all a matter.
We always say like connections and timing is the most important thing in the music industry. It's really all it is.
Right. So if you're maybe a regional artist and you're lucky enough to have good music and a good stage show and you get picked up by the right booking agency, then as a regional artist you're put on with those Chris Stapletons and those bigger, and that builds you. Like Ella Langley, she's, I don't know if you know who she is, she's from Alabama, she's great, she's very new to the scene. She did one duet with a guy named Riley Green, they blew up, they won like the #1 song, and now she's on a bigger agency where now she's selling out 5,000 person venues, but she's playing with Hardy or Morgan Wallen or whoever those people are. But so it's all about kind of just continuing to build and grow and getting the right team around you.
Yeah, and like riding that momentum whenever you get it.
Yeah, and a lot of the time the smaller artists for like these 100 to 200 cap venues in Pittsburgh, they're doing it themselves. Like they're doing all the research or reach out themselves and putting together a press kit to propose themselves to it. Like whenever I was working at Spirit Talent Buying there, I got 150 emails a day from bands that either lived close or were going on tour. Some are like, we want this to be our first show ever, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't think this place is perfect, but here's like the number for Roboto or a smaller venue. They're stepping stones,
and not everybody would do that, so it's cool that you did that. That's a really nice, and that is because you love the artists. Most people would probably just ignore them. Right. So,
and it's cool too for those emails coming in. Like I've sent 1 million of those emails for artists that we manage, and I'm like, I think everyone is owed a response and like owed a chance. But whenever you're working for someone else and there's like bar sales and like we have to hit the certain amount of tickets, it gets a little, because at the end of the day it is a business. So it's hard.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love the aspect of like the general contracting type of end of it all. Like I will facilitate events around the city, and like I kind of do everything myself, just because like I love the planning of it all. Like I like just hosting. I like event plannings.
And love making a spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun to like try to make things together. I threw a big party at Brillo Box for the 300th episode, and like just like putting all that together as far as like finding like getting with Badamos to like supply the food, and like I had a cookie table from a local baker. It's just like fun to like put all that stuff together. So I could see why that's like interesting to like create your own to do that.
Should have a cookie table over the grand opening. That's a good idea.
Yeah, cookie table. It was
have a cookie
big
table.
hit.
It's a great idea.
It was a big hit. It was
awesome.
it was a big hit. Had a great local baker, Nicole Medved, for people who are listening.
Oh,
She's
I went
great.
to middle school with her.
Did you?
Yeah, we used to smoke cigarettes in the park at dark.
Hell yeah. Sounds like her.
You might want to call her for a cookie table.
Yeah, she killed.
She's an incredible baker.
Yeah, honestly, she really killed it. I got her for all my events that I do, and she always comes through. But so, I mean, you guys creating Keystone, like where does the conversation begin with you both to like try to make that happen? To like, because I feel like it's a big undertaking and it's like a big risk. So
Yeah.
how do you like kind of make that jump?
Well, like you said, it's a big risk. Like I quit my job and Danny quit, and I was in a place where I was like, wow, I have no backup plan. And I don't know. And I've never done that. Like I'm always like survival instincts first. And like, I got to take care of myself, make sure I'm good. I'm always going to set myself up to be like financially secure and like not take a lot of risks in my life. And immediately I was like, okay, I need to start bartending again. I'm going to do part-time photography again. I'm going to live stream again. And I had 5 jobs for like the first 6 months of us starting Keystone. And it was actually pretty funny. Like we were sitting at Gordo's having a meeting with like a potential artist that we were going to manage, one of our first ones. And the bar manager at the time was like, oh, you guys work in the music industry? Do you know Byron Nash? I was in a band with him 20 years ago. And Danny was like, Maddie needs a job. Can she work here? She lives right down the street. And I bartended for Brian until I was able to quit from our clients getting bigger. But yeah, it's a lot of networking and timing with that too. Like I remember I was at like my brother's lake house for a weekend, like on a family trip, and Nick Wright, who used to do the marketing and event coordination for WIP, called me or sent me a Instagram message or something and was like, I need help with this event. And I was like, oh, I'm not working for that company anymore, because he was like a previous client. He was like, I know, I want to work with you. I saw that you started a new venture. And then we had a phone call, and that turned into, we're still working with them, and now we're going to be their neighbors.
Yeah.
And
I'll never forget that. You called me. I was in South Carolina at a festival, and I was at my friend's house, and she called. She's like, I think we have a client. I'm like, really?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was great that it was WIP, because they do cool events. They work with the local artists, and it all just made a lot of sense.
Yeah. So like for you to have them as a client, like, so they'll put together like an event and you guys are finding the talent?
Not specifically for them, but for like the smaller community events, that's what we do. Like we book all the concert series at Southside Works and Bakery Square every year. Chalk Festival reaches out to us. We worked with the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy, the Botanic Garden. Anytime someone has a wide range of dates, or even like a weekend festival where they need to book talent, they'll reach out to us. With WIP, it's more like we need someone to stage manage and do hospitality and be on site and just kind of help out, which was fun because that's what we used to do for our old company. And it was so fun getting to like stage manage for Devin Gilfillian and the Seratones and Illiterate Light, and like people that I would never, because I had never worked with bigger artists than just like the local scene before.
And now they're all our friends.
Yeah.
That's what's even cooler, is like we still, Devin's been a friend for years, and we talk to Illiterate Light all the time, and we're hoping to be able to bring them back for early time of Club Cafe. So
yeah.
And it's cool too, like our first summer we worked Maple House Music Festival, which was Wonderworks, and it didn't come back this year, but Danny, our friend Sarah, and I are like sitting in the media pit watching Jason Isbell sing his entire performance, and we're like, who are we? Like you kind of have like imposter syndrome sometimes.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I can't even imagine what that would be like for Ian's to be able to like make it through the beginning stages of it all through someone else's company, and then like create your own and like have them opportunities to like grow with and kind of see it flourish after Ian's like start this out. So I mean, for you two, like Keystone Artist Connect, so you're pretty much handling every bit of everything.
Oh,
Yeah, we wear a lot of hats.
And it's funny because again, the company, we've got, when we first started, was we conceived it in November of 21, but we launched it in March of 22. And our goal was within 3 years to start doing showcases at South by Southwest and at Americana Fest, two big, local, smaller conferences that help younger artists or newer artists. Well, 2 weeks after we started the company, we had our first South by Southwest showcase, and we built such great friendships to the point where this would be our 4th year going into next year. We've done them consistently for the last 3 years, and all of the same artists, and even artists that aren't on our roster for a wealth of different reasons. They're family, and they play all of our events, and we've grown to be such close friends with all of them, and we meet up at all of these conferences, and we just have such a great time when we're all back together. And there's a gal named Kimmy Bitter that we met right when we first started the company, and she played our first showcase at South by.
She's like Patsy Cline reincarnated. It's crazy.
She's from San Diego. She's done everything herself. They won best new album in San Diego at the awards this week, and she's like, I've done this all myself for so long. I think I'm ready. I need some help, and you guys are the only people I trust. So that means so much that we haven't officially worked together, but we've developed such a relationship that now that she's ready, she wants to come on board with Keystone.
Yeah, that's great. So forgive me for these like low level questions. I'm just trying to get a grasp on all this.
It's a lot.
Whenever you say that you're doing like showcases for places like South by, it's like, where does that come in? Because that's its own, that's its own event, right? So do you like how does it work where you step in and, do a showcase? What does that mean necessarily?
So that one specifically was from a connection we have, Pam, who runs Pam Nation, which she lives in Rhode Island and helps out her local scene a lot, does a lot for artists all over. And she was like, hey, my buddy's like starting this touring software platform, and he has this bar booked on 6th Street in Austin for a whole week. And we want to partner and like bring a bunch of people down from Pittsburgh. We'll put your artists on. We have some artists we're bringing in, like anyone that was planning to go to South by and people that weren't. We brought down a lot of like basically our whole roster that year, which was a lot smaller at the time. But
I didn't necessarily put that together. Like those big festivals have different places to play.
Yes, and you can be official or unofficial. We've always been unofficial with South by, but that second year we booked all 7 days for them. So we were able to control and bring on so many more artists and management groups and build more friends. Then the third year we started doing it at Willie Nelson's family studio, Arlen Studios, which was incredible for all of us. It was a dream come true.
And we were setting up our event, and Kelby and I were like carrying a case of water, and she was like, I think that's fucking Steve Earle that just walked in. And I was like, no, there's no way. And she was like, no, Maddy, that is. And we like got a picture with him, and I went up to Lisa and one of the owners, and she was like, yeah, he was just coming home from his grandkid's birthday party and stopping in to say hi to me. I was like, what?
And
that's crazy.
Lisa and Freddie Fletcher. Freddie is Willie Nelson's nephew, and they run Arlen Studios. And they are, same thing, just well loved, and all of the artists love to record there and love to go to the studios. And we feel like now we're part of that family, and it's pretty cool. So like
they've been amazing.
The last 2 years our events have been off the charts, and it's been a big part of that and the lineups that we curate. Everybody says that we have the best lineups in South by, which is pretty impressive.
This is it's super cool to hear like kind of how all this is like spinning itself together. It's I mean, it's just like it sounds like a fun job. Obviously, it's like you have these opportunities. Now, how do you like choose the types of people that you're working with? Because I know that like there's a lot of good talent out there. So like what's appealing to you that like makes you want to take on an artist?
I think it's honestly just like having a genuine connection with them as people and their music. Like there are, a lot of artists that don't put in, or at least not yet, like as much time and effort, and just kind of assume that everything's going to happen to them with like a snap of their fingers. And it's extremely difficult, and it takes years to build these connections that we have. And the artists that are like have already been doing that for themselves and want to go out and support other people and just put their entire like heart and soul into their I mean, you can hear it.
And it's honestly like, I was at an event last January with the gal I was tour managing for, and it was like this VIP party for a charity event that we did the day before, and I was in another room and I heard this voice, and I was like my jaw dropped. And I went and I found out who it was, and I researched it, and I was like, that guy, I'm gonna get that guy. And fast forward to September, we brought him down to Americana Fest, and I was like, I'm gonna manage you. It took a while, and now he's on our roster, and it's been a great, he just put out his first record in November, and this year he's playing Newport Folk Fest.
Who's this?
His name's Tyler James Kelly. He's out of Rhode Island as well, and which is weird because I don't know how we know three people from Rhode Island.
Yeah, I've never been.
I just went for the first time, but
How many artists do you have?
I would say like full-time management, like 5 to 7 between the three of us, and then we have other people that we do like consulting for, or a little bit of booking for, just not, or distribution, like not the full artist management like package, I would say.
So do you both have, do you both manage your own artists?
Yeah,
we all do, yeah. And you got to go with your heart and your gut, and if you don't love them as a person and as an artist, then what are you doing? You know? So I feel like everybody we work with, even if it's on a consulting basis, we're not going to work with people we don't believe in, because our name's behind it. And if we're going to push it, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And everybody has different tastes. That's not to say everyone's going to love what we love, or that other people don't love other things, because everybody has their own tastes. So that's what I really like. Is I'm a big outlaw country, Americana, cowpunk. I don't know. I listen to all kinds of stuff, but then Maddy tends to lean a little more like indie Americana songwriter. You're really diverse. Hip hop. Maddy's all over the board, and she's really taught me so much about the local scene. Like, I've fallen in love with musicians I probably never would have seen if it wasn't for Maddy.
Like, I see the Stones throw her shirts, and I like their music. They're good. I know that you're involved with Colt Lepley. I like his stuff. I just came across him.
But he's like one of the best lyricists I've ever met. He used to be like a history professor and a professional race car driver, and he would be a great person to have on here.
You should have him on. His story is incredible, and he's the sweetest guy.
Yeah, I randomly he followed me on TikTok and commented, and I delved down that a little bit, and I was like, and like we were saying before, whenever we started, there's just so many people around here that are just so talented. So
we're very lucky.
So Keystone, you do consulting, you do management. Now, as far as like do you still take a hand in like the production and like making sure like for these festivals and everything like that? Dean's offer services to like come in and like handle like stage management and stuff like that as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, last Sunday I was putting together a doggy Easter egg hunt at the dog park in Southside.
Sorry, I started that.
And no, it was so fun. I was like, oh my God, I get to, spend 3 hours hanging out with dogs in cute costumes. And
I used to work for Camp Bow Wow. That was in between my restaurant and music career. I was their marketing director for 4 years. So when Southside opened the dog park, I was like, let's do dog events. and I used to do them all. And then I've been traveling, so I'm like, Maddy.
No,
but it was
really
so
cute.
fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, and then like Pierogi Fest, we're stage managing and providing like a security team for that, and Chalk Fest, like whenever people ask it, they're like, we want sound and music, or we need a stage, or we need vendors. Depending on what they need, we handle all of it.
And that kind of just comes from the connections you build over the years.
Yep, exactly.
Ian's worked with enough people to know like who you could pull in, who you could use for this, and that's interesting. It's all about who you know.
Yeah,
it's cool.
No, I feel like we're lucky enough to know pretty much everyone in Pittsburgh at this point.
We know a lot of people, and a lot of great people.
Yeah.
You were saying about all the people that you've had on. I was looking through I've listened to a few, but Clinton Clegg and Nate and Amico. We managed Amico. He was in a band called The Roof. And then when Reed moved up over to Zach, and Meeks had always done
their merch.
And so he was like the perfect person to slide right in there. And we have such a wealth of talent in Pittsburgh.
It's especially Beaver County. It's strange up there. Something in the water up there. Now, I mean, so obviously, you guys bought Club Cafe. I want to know a little bit about this because we all knew that, whenever I talked to Clinton Clegg, that got brought up in our conversation. That was like a big jumping off point for a lot of artists around the city. That's a place that is, there's so many venues closing in the city, and that is one that is, has a energy around it that a lot of people have played at, a lot of people have started at. So how does that conversation come to be? And
well, I'm crazy.
Let me jump in real quick. So Maddy always shoots the shot, and I respect the hell out of her for it. When we're in Austin, she emails Willie Nelson, and she's like, "You should come to our event." You never know.
Not that it's ever going to happen.
You never know. You never know.
That's right. You just shoot your shot. That's the way you got to do it.
So it rolls into this, and we hear the announcement that it's closing, and she calls me up.
Yeah, I mean, dating back to what I was saying, doing photography, like I got so much work out of that because I would put together like folders for each artist I shot and share the Google Drive and be like, hey, here's my name. If you want to tag me, that'd be cool. If you need work, like I'm trying to do this. And I got like 3 recurring clients from that. Tim Vitolo, this band, Luxury Machine, and this other band. I can't remember. I think they broke up a while ago. But every show that they did in Pittsburgh, I was their photographer. And then like the bass player from Tim Vitolo's band, him and his wife Rachel, they have an Airbnb company, and I started doing pictures for them. He texted me yesterday and was like, I hope you know that me and Rachel feel like proud parents right now. But I made so many connections from just like sending those kind of emails. And then whenever I was looking for work when we were starting Keystone, I just emailed like my favorite people that I've done events with, and I was like, if you need an extra hand, like I would love to work with you, and got clients out of that. Like I'm never afraid to, take a chance on myself. And with Keystone, we've had to do that so many times. Like our whole job is sending emails all the time for our artists. And one of the 5 jobs I had when we were starting was doing hospitality running for Opus One. So I would like buy the band's groceries, set up their green room, be like, if someone broke a guitar pedal and needed me to run out, I would be that person. And that's who just sold us Club Cafe. And I just sent him an email in September and was like, Danny and I were devastated to hear about it, and if you have buyers in mind, like we'd love to be included in that. Can we get a cup of coffee or something? And we met a couple weeks later, and we had, it's not like either of us are rich. We did not have a plan financially, but he was like, after talking to you guys, like Keystone reminds me of Opus One like 25 years ago, and it was a big stepping stone for me. And he's booking on the shows at Smalls and Stage AE and like arena tours sometimes. He has a lot going on, which is incredible. And
forgive me for interrupting you. Was Opus One the same people for Club Cafe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. Interesting. So
he just like grew.
Yeah.
And so he didn't really need it per se. Like it was a great venue, but it didn't do a ton for him because he's built everything up so big.
Yeah.
Well, it did a ton for him.
It did a ton for him to get him there. Yeah, I meant right now. Yeah. And so it kind of was a great transition point for us.
So what makes you want to take on, in this world of all these venues closing, all these places shut down, what makes you want to take that on as a...
There's so many reasons. What are your reasons?
I'm curious.
Yeah, I think that building specifically, there's so much history there, which... it's funny, one of our artists, Nick, he has like made appointments at the library to go through the archives and keeps like sharing stories with us and looking up all this stuff. And it's like the last time it was independently owned by a woman was exactly 100 years ago.
Really?
Pretty cool.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, there's just, that building has been so many different things. And, whenever Marco, the previous owner before Mike owned it in like 99 to early 2000s, he did this, like ran wire through the whole place and did this live stream series. And, there's episodes with like John Mayer, Nora Jones, and Lisa Loeb, and like they all
in Club Cafe?
Yeah, we're like little artist babies on the stage, and it's so cool to see.
And when was this? Like the
99 to like 90s. 2004.
Yeah.
Wow. Had no idea about that. You could find that online?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's pretty cool.
Holy shit.
Marco's company is called Merging Media, and if you look that up, you can see all the old videos and stuff.
That is awesome.
It's pretty cool. And it's just a special venue, just like you said, to so many people. So many artists have got their start there.
Yeah.
Played their first shows there, seen their favorite shows there. you don't hear a ton of bad stuff about it. And we both live within 2 miles of the venue. Honestly, I wouldn't have ever considered buying a venue except that one. You know, when she brought it up, I was like, whatever, Maddy, okay, go ahead, send the email. And here we are. You know, it worked. And I think it's going to be legendary. I think it's going to be great. It already is legendary, and we're going to add a little bit of us to it, and you know, kind of zhuzh it up a little bit, and just change a little decor. But that's all that needs done. It's turnkey. It's ready to go.
Is it going to keep the name?
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
And I think a big reason for me too is like the people that we have in place, like me and Danny and Kristen and Reed and Elliot and our new bar manager Cullen and our sound engineer Wes. Like all of those people I've gotten close with since we started Keystone. Cullen and I've been friends for a long time too, and it's just
Wes started with us. As
Wes started doing
engineer.
audio with us and learned how to do audio to do
Bakery
gigs
Square
for
and
us,
gigs for us. And
but I've never seen a group of people treat other people so well. And I think like no matter what kind of, like, all of us are so talented in our own ways and have our different things going on, but at the end of the day, like, I want to, you know, share that space with someone that's going to treat people like Danny and I do, and I think that's a huge reason for me. I don't think I would have done it with any other group of people.
No, we have a really great team.
Yeah.
And it's Reed and Kristen, and then Reed's best friend Elliot, who is a DJ. He has worked for the Pirates with the Pirates for years. He's an usher, loves life, loves music. He had always said, I just think he's such a wild character. Like, I follow him on Instagram and I love everything he does. He had always said if Chris Christopherson died, he was going to go to Nashville and request Chris Christopherson at Roberts all day long, and he did it. He flew to Nashville and just requested Chris Christopherson at Roberts all day long, and video documented it.
I didn't know that story.
He is a wealth of music knowledge. He's incredible, and we couldn't have asked for a better team. And our family and our friends and the artists we work with, everybody is so excited to be a part of it.
It got to be cool to be able to, like, you know, one thing, have, like, you know, Keystone and, like, have that, you know, business in itself, but then have, like, a home for it. To, like, have a place for you to, like, create things where you could just, like, have it designated already and know and have a hand in everything, rather than, like, you know, can we fit you in the books here? Can we get you in here? What's the cap
understand
there?
It.
I understand it for sure. Like, I appreciate it, and I definitely, you know, I can say that I'm very selfish with the podcast. Like, with the people that I have on, I don't have any notebooks. I don't, like, you know, have, like, generic ass questions. I'm just, like, genuinely bringing people in here that I'm very, very interested in what they're doing, and, like, that I could see, like, the passion just, like, you know, exude from it all. And, like, obviously Reed, you know, I knew that, you know, if he puts in a good word for people, I get it completely. But, you know, it fascinates me to, like, see people that, like, want to take risks to do this stuff, because, like we said before, it's like these venues are just, like, closing. So, like, for you to, like, want to do this and, like, keep a place like that alive is just, like, a powerful thing. And it fascinates me to hear more about it. What's the cap at Club Cafe?
150 standing.
Yeah, so, like, that's like a perfect size, I feel.
Yeah,
it's like the first spot. It's the stepping stone. Artists, there's smalls, there's Brillo's a little smaller, a little different. It's more of a indie vibe.
For sure.
But, like, as far as a listening room goes, you typically will start at Club Cafe, hit Thunderbird or Spirit, and then hit
Dave Romano, who used to be the GM and talent buyer there, he was saying when we were there the other day that they got a grant a couple years ago just because someone that was on the board to, like, approve it was like, we've played there and it reminds me of the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, which is like Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran got their start there, and it's the same size room. Nick got the opportunity to play there last year, and you know, it feels very much, all the pictures on the wall, you can feel all of the history, and it's just like a very good stepping stone.
I feel like that's a good size, especially for someone that, like, obviously the goal is, you know, probably to manage to have these artists grow and become you know, bigger artists in air quotes, but, like, you know, to start off and have, like, younger artists who are, like, getting their footing and, like, you know, kind of making a name for themselves. Like, it's cool to be able to have a space for that and to just, like, kind of cultivate these types of artists and, like, have a hand in all that.
And I think a big thing that's missing in Pittsburgh too, like, is a venue that represents the whole of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You know, has R&B, has hip hop, has punk, has country, has indie, has events that support the queer community, like drag shows. I think the only place that I've seen do it perfectly since they opened is Trace Brewing, and they're not even like a venue first.
I know.
They're a
They still do
brewery
it.
first.
I love everyone there. I
Yeah.
mean, what a team.
Yeah.
You know, Adam Sorma, Zach, the brewer, like
We love
all of
them
them.
all.
They're
Yeah.
they're all great.
And I told Katie, I was like, our first order of business is getting a
Trace.
Trace beer on tap. Like, you have to come back.
It's where we launched our company. We've done all of our anniversaries there. We're big fans of Trace. We love them
Yeah.
all.
I mean, you can't. I've never heard anyone say anything negative about it. I
No.
mean, like it's just
If
a
they
great
did beat 'em
spot.
up,
Yeah.
I'd beat 'em up.
It's just a great spot. We have a lot of good places around here. I
do,
mean, it
yeah.
really, really is. And it's interesting to like kind of hear what catches the eyes of like other people. Like I've talked to numerous people of all different walks of life, and the same names get brought up. You know, Trace gets brought up all the time for how great they are.
Yeah.
And it's just like you could really just tell what it
Because
is.
they're treating people right. You just do
100%.
right by people, and you
Absolutely.
love people.
Absolutely.
And that makes people come back.
And that really just like that really just goes without saying. It's like if you're doing bad stuff, that's gonna come out eventually. But
Especially in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
exactly, it's small enough to know where the bad people are, and easy enough to know to stay away from that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Club Cafe is this just kind of like hit the news in the last couple days.
Yeah.
On Monday, yep.
How long have you guys known that you had that?
Since actually the week of my birthday. We got our
What's your birthday?
January 29th.
Oh, so you knew for a while.
Yeah. So we
Well,
were working on it since...
It wasn't official.
Yeah.
We had to get approved for the loan, which
Yeah.
took a little bit longer.
Yeah, we got like the soft approval
Yeah.
on my birthday. And then I think it was a couple weeks later, we got like a written approval.
Yeah.
But, we'd been working on it since we got coffee with Mike on October 1st. He owns Margot, and we all sat down there and talked for like an hour and a half. Like Danny and I were both like crying because
he was
we were
great.
so inspired. He could have, any business owner, when they have a piece of property in a big city, could easily sell it to anyone. And he, has such a passion for the music and arts community too, and saw that in us. And I don't think anyone else would have waited as long. Like we had to
Or
get
helped us as much as he
Yeah,
did. He
he's
helped
been
us every
great.
step of the way.
Yeah.
He's still helping us.
Yeah.
Like he's been really wonderful. Him
I
and
love
Dave.
that.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of, ups and downs with it, especially everything going on in the world right now. Like, I remember we were in Austin at Luck Reunion, Willie Nelson's like festival, and our like loan officer called us and was like, the government might shut down tomorrow. I need this piece of paper right now. So I'm like standing under a tree with like a cocktail in my hand, like filling out the
My
information.
phone was in the Uber somewhere.
Yeah.
I left my phone in an Uber.
It's like call Kelby to get Danny's like social. I was like, oh my God.
because we couldn't find each other at the festival. It was wild.
Yeah. So
We got it done.
there's been a lot of that, especially with like the administration, like everything changing and funding getting cut, where they were like, oh, SBA loans might just disappear this month, and all the work you did for the past 4 months, it might just not happen. I was like,
She was very stressed.
oh, okay.
I bet.
Put a
Yeah.
lot into it.
I
A lot.
bet.
Lots of
it gotta
phone
be
calls.
stressful. We're in a
Yeah.
stressful time in life right now for anyone.
Right. On all the paperwork and all the communication. And I'm bad at I'm bad at
Yeah, I
all
wrote
of
a
that stuff.
96-page business plan.
Holy shit. So are you very much like are you like a planner? Like, you're like anal about everything?
Well, I wasn't until I started working in this industry,
Okay.
because whenever
You have to.
I started production managing, there were a couple shows that like, people showed up late, or I didn't like put the information in the calendar the right way, or forgot to like add someone to the calendar invite. Like, there's a small admin thing that you can do that will just completely fuck
Derail.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So you learn from those mistakes.
yeah, absolutely. You have to be organized. You have to have an updated calendar. My email is curated into like all of these I probably have like 400 folders. In
I
my
was just
email.
I started a new folder because we have like when we started we had an original Keystone email, and then we like branched out. Now we have our own emails, but we still check the main one, and so we're starting to now get 1,000 emails about Club Cafe in that email.
Yeah.
And I went to make a folder, and then I couldn't find it, and I'm like, there are 600 folders.
Yeah, for anyone listening, info@clubcafelive.com is our new email.
Yeah, I mean, it got to be overwhelming to like,
Oh, boy.
deal with that end of things.
Yeah.
To kind of like manage that sort of like chaos. But
It's a lot.
It's so cool though.
Yeah.
At
It is.
especially for this like Monday. my phone died 8 times and got like a temperature warning twice because of it. Like the notifications just kept coming.
Yeah.
But it was all people, not one negative comment, like all people resharing their favorite memories from Club Cafe.
Yeah.
Our friend Cody was like, I met my wife there.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was really cool. There's just, I'm like getting chills.
The post that was shared, I think it was me, you, Opus, Reed. It has over 75,000 engagements. That's, I mean, 1,000 on our page is a lot.
Yeah.
Like it was like it's just never ending. And then we had our own post, so just reading all the comments, I was just sitting there. I cried 100 times.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome that like
really
you know any sort of progress with what you're doing is just like you know it got to be great to see. It's got to be a great feeling to be able to like you know keep something like this alive and be able to be part of like this community.
Yeah,
I mean the community is so that's why I started the podcast is like you know to kind of like create a way for people to learn more about the people that are making the community what it is.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because being a friend of Reed Conley for as long as I have, I mean, I've probably known him for close to 10 years now.
Yeah. But did you ever know anything about him before you listened?
I thought I did. I didn't know he worked for the Penguins. I didn't know he majored in religious studies. I was like,
insane.
I was like, this podcast is incredible.
And if you think about it, all these places that we all love, whether they're restaurants like Streets on Carson or, you know, places like, you know, Zed's Vintage or like any of these places, we all go to these places. We all patronize them.
Yeah.
We all go there and have a great time. We all know about Trace and all the fun parties that they put into it. But like,
behind it?
Yeah, what goes on behind it? Why are these places and why did they come to be? And it would be weird, you know, I created this because it would be weird, you know, if I just like was chilling at a place and I saw you two and I recognized you from Instagram and was like, hey, let me just fucking bug you for 2 hours and just ask you all these questions.
Well, that's the thing where it's so nice, like especially when we get to like work festivals out of town and have like those off days where we can all like sit in the pool or go out to lunch and just talk because I mean, Danny and I see each other and text every single day, but like we're friends first too. And like it's so easy to just like lose that part of it because of how busy you get doing. I mean, being a business owner is
great perspective.
Yeah.
Like what a cool, I've never heard anybody present it that way. And I think that's a really cool way. Like there are people behind all of these great places. And who are those
every
people?
single person.
Yeah,
like you, like you just brought up, you know, Mike talking about how he kind of like waited to have the right people take over that spot. Like I just interviewed Studebaker Metals, and Michael Studebaker said that the place that they're in right now was a building that at one point was going to be sold, torn down, and turned into condominiums. But the person that was selling it was he wanted to find the right person, and like the place that it was before was a kind of like a factory that made like tooling and stuff like that. So whenever this person found Michael Studebaker and his partner, they, you know, that just appealed to them. It's like they wanted to like keep the community and have that hand in the community, and it's just like that is like valuable to me. It's like I don't know, I love it. Like I just love learning about people that are like, you know, making Pittsburgh as cool as it is. That's kind of like the goal of everything. Now, I mean, when does everything start to kick off at Club Cafe? Like what's the plan for this? Yeah,
so we are in the process of getting the liquor license transferred over, and we kind of have to wait until that to open the doors, but we're also opening a daytime coffee house during the day. So
amazing.
Yeah, we're working with Mike for some consulting for that too, because he has Margot, the coffee place and wine and champagne bar in East Liberty.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's been great and put together like this whole package to review with us. So we got to buy coffee equipment. We want to paint. We want to hang a bunch of stuff on the walls. That means a lot to us. And probably July, funny enough, is Love Pittsburgh Music Month. So we want to fill it with as much local shows as we can, and then do like a big weekend blowout.
Big grand opening. Probably August will be the official ribbon cutting and big party. We have some goodies in the works. So.
That's good.
As soon as we can open, we have to open.
We want to open ASAP, but the big grand opening will probably be end of summer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very exciting. Like it's very exciting to hear that this is all going on. So like as you guys are managing this and kind of, you know, making things work behind the scenes with this? Obviously you're still working, you know, with your artists and with all the people that are hiring you for consulting and everything like that. It's like, how are you managing it? How are you managing yourselves?
Barely.
We don't know. And it just happens.
Yeah.
No, I think it's like, you know, we're so passionate about what we do, and like all of the people that we work with, we've worked with since we started our company pretty much.
Yeah.
So I was on a Zoom call with Eileen and Jack from Revive Marketing that handles like all the Southside events the other day, and I was like, guys, I'm so sorry, I read your email, can you just text me this week? And they were like, yeah, I mean, you just bought a historic venue, like it's okay.
Last week we had so many different like inspections and meetings and walkthroughs and everything. Normally, you know, I work during the day, and I was just like, I can be in pajamas. And then I just knocked out all my artist stuff at night, you know, and jammies on the computer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it, you know, it's all remote.
Yeah.
Working with doing advancing or promo or.
How many artists are you managing?
Well, I think like Tyler James, Rosie, Colt. Dave Shepard, the Waymores.
So you got a good handful.
Five or six like full time.
Now, what is like your everyday look like for this as like artist management?
Well, I'm bad at routines, so really I try real hard to say, all right, I'm going to do this for 1 hour, this for 1 hour, this for 1 hour. And
then you get a phone call and it like derails
your
the
whole
next
day.
thing,
So we're on, like my mom's like, you have so many meetings. You are on that phone constantly because, you know, I want to communicate with the artist, and it's kind of cool that everybody's at different stages, and I think that that's a really big help. You know, like Tyler put his record out in November. Colts is coming out in July. The Waymores is coming out in October. I've got Rosie Flores, who's a legend, and I kind of manage special projects for her. So we're working on re-releasing her anniversary 30-year re-release of her Rockabilly Philly record, and she turned 75 this year. And so we're gonna do.
She's older.
She's awesome. She's like
75 years old.
Shreds guitar.
Say it again, Rosie Phillips?
Flores.
Flores.
Rockabilly Philly is the record that we're re-releasing.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
75. How is it communicating with her? Is she pretty savvy?
She's savvy, all right. She's lovely, and she's got a wonderful team of women and people that surround her that we want to make this her year.
Yeah.
You know, she deserves it. She has been a badass for so long. So we're really celebrating her this year and trying to do cool with this re-release on the record and do some really badass birthday parties in Nashville, New York City, LA, Austin.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's out in LA now with part of her team, and they've got a really cool film thing that they're doing. It's under wraps, can't really talk about it, but it's going to be something really cool when it comes out.
I mean, are you traveling a good bit?
Oh yeah, I travel all the time. Like I went to Stagecoach last minute because Reed and Kristen had me join, so that was awesome.
Yeah.
And then
that had to be insane.
I
looked absolutely
hated
insane.
every minute of it. I will never go back. I walked the first day on Friday. They got there at 4. I got there at noon because there were artists I wanted to see. I walked 19,000 steps by 9 o'clock.
I saw so many people's Apple Watches and how many steps that they did.
Awful. It was awful. I mean, it was too big. There were some great shows. Don't get me wrong. The shows were great. It was insane, but just too big for me.
Chaos.
I'm getting too old. I'm old. And so where am I going? I go to New York Sunday. I've got an artist doing something at Sirius XM on Monday. Come back Tuesday. I'm going to fly to Denver to go see Turnpike at Red Rocks on Wednesday, Thursday. Fly back Friday, here for a week, then head to Nashville. I manage Buck and stuff. I don't know if Ditch Kurtz, he's a pedal steel player. He has a Buck Owens tribute band.
Wow.
And he is running for the governor of Tennessee.
No shit. That's wild.
I'm his party planner, so we're going to throw a party on May 15th.
Wow.
That'll be his first campaign party with Chuck Mead and Gabe Lee. And
that's awesome.
I'm going to see Buddy the Vandaliers and the Toadies, and then flying home. And
so you got a whole schedule of shit to do.
And then I'll be out all of June for tour. So that's why we didn't want to do the grand opening in June, because I'm going to be gone from the 4th to the 28th. We come back to do a couple shows that Maddy's booked Tyler for.
Yeah. Now, Maddy, are you traveling a lot? Or are you?
I used to. So whenever I managed The Roof, who was like my
I feel like we didn't even talk about that, me and Amiko. Like, did that even get brought up in the conversation?
He wasn't there long. He was with them a few months. He was a great addition, and then it just, obviously.
What kind of music?
It's like psychedelic rock.
Of course, he was in.
He was a perfect.
Yeah, but those guys were were great. I did a couple runs with them and did merch, and you know, they came to Americana Fest and Southside with us, and I booked all of their shows in Pittsburgh pretty much. And yeah, they were a handful, and I love them so much. And I want a roof reunion show for.
We better get one.
Yeah.
Do you hear that, Skylar?
Amiko said it's probably easier to colonize Mars, but we're going to try. And Nick Guckert, another one of our artists, who is just like a crazy background story. We met at a bar like years ago, and then I was a little too drunk and like hit on him, and he was like, "You're beautiful, I'm so gay." And I was like, okay, oops. And had no idea who he was. It was just like at a dive bar in Mount Washington. And then my best friend from high school, Kelsey, a couple months later, she's like planning her wedding. She's like, "I found this band, and like I booked them for my wedding. You work in the music scene, do you know them?" And sends me a picture, and I see his face, and I'm like, "Oh no." And go to her wedding. We, you know, he claims that he doesn't remember me embarrassing myself, which is good for our friendship. But we were sitting at a bar after her wedding and just like chatting, and he was like, "That's so funny." And you know, we just caught up. He used to be in a band called The Living Street that was like WIP's Artist of the Year in 2021, and lost touch again. And Danny and I were working WIP Summer Music Festival, and The Living Street was on it, and we were like, "This guy, he just keeps
keeps coming around.
He
just keeps coming.
That was the day I met him, and I fell in love with him immediately. He was just such a great guy, and yeah, he's been with us ever since.
Yeah, him and his old bandmate asked us to get drinks at Trace, and we sat down and had a meeting with them, and I started working with him. I went on a 2-month-long tour to Florida.
I don't think she'll ever go on the road again after
I'm never
that.
going to Florida again.
I know.
Yeah.
Last. I mean, Florida is a interesting place.
Yeah.
But so I mean, like, so for you to like, are you actively looking for like new artists to like?
Not
bring
at the
in?
moment.
Okay,
I
yeah.
just because of Nick too. He was playing at Gordo's, where I used to bartend pretty recently, and one of the other artists on the bill was a band called the Laurel Lowlifes, and they are so cool, and their music's so good. They have like the most energy out of anyone I've seen. It's like Americana music.
They're great.
Britt, the lead singer, is such a talented, I mean, the whole band's incredible, but I just brought them on and have started working with them. So like Nick Guckert, the Stone Throwers, and the Laurel Lowlifes are my top 3.
So how do you approach your like day to day? Like what are your duties that you like plan to do every day for your artists? Like how does that look for you?
Submissions.
What does that mean?
So festivals, it used to be that submissions were open in like January for the year, and in the past couple years they're doing it like a lot earlier. Most of them are October, but every month there's new submissions. We put them on our calendar and make ourselves a reminder, like deadline for this festival is this day, and you know, we have all their links and their press kits, and we submit them to festivals all over. If they want to do a weekender tour, I'll send emails to help plan that. Updated photos, updated links, social media posts. We make schedules for that for our artists. And I would say the biggest thing, like locally, is looking at like the Roxanne and Thunderbird and Stage AE and seeing, who hasn't announced local support yet, and trying to get, them with a band that is going to introduce a world. Like Nick opened for John Hyatt at Carnegie Music Hall in Homestead, and it was sold out 1,100 people, and
holy shit,
it was insane. And he like plays bars to make, he's a musician full time, so from seeing him play at like all these bars in Florida and coming home where like people are eating crab legs and not paying attention really, and then coming home to like a sold out show where 1,100 people are clapping for him and like crying to his music. It was just like
so many people emailed him and said like, your music changed me, and they loved him and they want to go see him again. And that's where we might not make a lot of money, but it's those moments that pay off. Like that's why we do what we do.
Because that's like realistically, that's like what it is. I mean, I was just talking to a guy yesterday who's in a group called BB Guns. They're a local rap group.
It's a great name.
Yeah, they're incredibly talented. They're doing a residency right now at Bottle Rocket. Very, very talented. But he was, we were talking about like getting their names out there and stuff like that a little bit more. And it's really like, people just need to like know about it. We live in this world of so much saturation. saturation. It's like we just got to put it in front of people because people want to go and experience fun stuff. They want to know about good artists. They want to know about like the good new music that's out. It's just like that's the problem with like how, you know, it's a blessing and a curse, the world that we're in right now, because everyone has a phone. There's so many different people out there, so much saturation. Like a podcast, you know, like I'm a drop in a bucket. I've been around for 8 years and people are still just like, yeah, I've never even heard of you before. And
It's wild, yeah.
It's wild. And like, you know, it's a humbling thing. You're like, you know, I pour my fucking heart and soul into this. And like, you hear people that are like, yeah, didn't even know about you. But like now they're listening, and there's so many of those different cases where, you know, those dudes have been making music for years. So it's like, just to kind of get the name out there is like the, you know, the biggest obstacle to like kind of do.
It's wild, you know, and it's the cool thing about Pittsburgh, and I haven't encountered this anywhere else, but like a band like Woodland Creatures, so they have this big show Saturday. It's their album release at the Thunderbird Saturday night with Chet Vincent and Liz Berlin. This probably won't be out in time, but there's I think 2 husband and wives in the band, 4-part female harmonies. They're incredible. Yeah. And the husbands are both surgeons. So they don't want to go out and tour for 6 months.
Yeah.
They built a studio in their home. Yeah. Because they all have kids and dogs, and all the kids can hang out while the parents record.
Just like outrageously talented.
Music.
Yeah.
And they just, you know, they haven't gotten lucky. They've gotten into a lot of the bigger, they play like the Monroeville Pavilion, and we always book them at anything we can book them for. And they're incredible. And you might not know who they are because they don't play a ton. They play maybe 5 or 6 shows a year. Yeah. But if you get a chance,
very limited availability.
Yeah, that's who you go see them. They're great, and people just don't know about them.
People that are in it for the love of the game.
Yeah, they're awesome. Like they built a studio in their house. It's great.
Yeah, that's how Byron is too. I do some consulting with Nashville, Byron Nash and Jaquia May and their band, and he has a studio in his house. That man gets up at like 4 a.m. every single day and does his training at the gym. He works for the Warhol. He has his band full time. He has his wellness company that
I've never seen anybody work like
it's
ever.
Insane.
Yeah, I'm aware of him. I got to get him in here.
He's impressive.
Right, and he's a little older, but they're at the point where they're like, we're recording new music. We want to be on tour. You know, everyone. It doesn't matter how old you are necessarily. It's just like,
I think when you're asking us like our day to day, it's always going to be different because everybody's at a different stage in their career. We don't work with like anybody that's doing the same set thing, but there is daily things that, you know, you got to check in with everybody. You got to send your emails every morning. You got to follow up with emails every morning. And it's cool because it's always something different.
What's the hardest part of your jobs?
Dealing with artists. Did I say that out loud?
It got to be, right? I mean, you got to call it as it is. I mean, I'm sure it's just like, I'm sure that's a difficult part of it all is like, you know, dealing with the talent.
It's also great.
Well, whenever you're a manager, you're also a therapist.
And a mom. Yeah, you're a mom. You do it all. Like, and that's the thing, you know, I don't have any kids, but I have like 15 kids.
Yeah.
But I like, you know, I love it. I love taking care of people. Like we said, the hospitality side of it. And I love working through issues, and, you know.
Well, what about beyond the artists? Like, what's like the biggest difficulty you deal with?
I mean, going back to booking, I would say just because whenever we sat down with Dave Romano for Club Cafe, you know, we got our grand tour of here's how all these light switches work and just like the ins and outs of the old building. But we were chatting for a little bit before that with him and Mike, and we compliment him all the time. We're like, anytime we've ever, you know, asked about an artist opening at Club Cafe, you answer within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And he, if not 5 minutes, always the same day.
Yeah.
And I've met people that are agents that are like, yeah, unless an artist email is coming from a manager, we just like immediately put it in the trash.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't make a template that says like, thanks for reaching out, but not at like,
we get a lot of submissions. Please be patient. Like, just respond.
And I get left on red all the time.
Oh my gosh. Sure. You know, I've been trying to book, we're doing the June tour, and there's one day that I've been trying to book, and the guy emailed me back. He was super interested, and now I've emailed him 3 times. And then because we'll kind of tag team it, you know, the Waymores, they'll if they have a contact, they'll do it. If I have a contact, I'll do it. If they ignore me, they'll jump in. We kind of, we've got a good working vibe there. And so now Willie, he's called this guy, I think 11 days in a row at this point. And every day he's like, called, he's not there again today. I'm like, it's definitely him answering the phone. Like he's there. But we keep trying. It's just like, say no.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
because
yeah.
maybe I said our budget was too high. We'll go lower. I just
Yeah.
always try for higher.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, just answer.
Yeah.
Just answer.
Yeah, I get that for sure. It's hard, and like we were talking about the world today, like with how many of everything there is. It's like for me to be able to represent myself as something more official than me just saying, "Hey, do you want to be on a podcast?" Whereas, you know, I just need to get that opportunity for people to realize that what I'm doing isn't just dicking around in my basement.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
You've got a good cause.
yeah, so it's like it's hard to like try to amplify that to people in a way to like, you know, give me the time of day. So as a new artist management team and business that Ian's are, I mean, do you ever deal with things like that where you have to like, where you're trying to like you know, not necessarily fake it till you make it because you're already made it, like you're already making it, but like, you know, come on, like how do I even want to say it? Like,
I know what you mean.
Represent yourself in a higher regard than what you are, just like a local. You know, how do you get what I'm saying? Kind of.
Yeah.
Doing those showcases that we do, it's been pretty cool because we do have some really good recognition, and people will come up to us, and you know, we have a friend that works for Rolling Stone, and he's like, what you girls are doing is amazing, and your name is out there, and I'm hearing it all the time. Keep doing what you're doing. And there's another blog, I don't know if you've ever heard of Saving Country Music, but in that Red Dirt Americana world, with a lot of the artists that I work in, he's got 1 million followers, right? So you want him to write about you, and he says the same thing. He's like, I've seen you I've come to so many of your events, and you have great lineups, and I still don't know what you guys are doing, but keep doing it. He's like, you're a great, and he wrote an article about us, and which is really cool, you know. And no, we're not, you know, Warner Media or Sony, and we don't have millions of dollars to give people. I wish we did, because we'd do well with it, but I think we've done a really good job at building the community we want to build.
Hell yeah.
And it's out there, and people are hearing about it. And as women, our whole company is women as well. That's even more impressive.
No, I mean,
and I'll say too with that was the thing I was most nervous about with Club Cafe, because I knew, like, you know, we're buying it from this industry expert who's a man, and I was extremely nervous going into that meeting. And I was
being a women team.
Yeah. And being like, for me, I'm 29, like being younger, and even whenever I was working at HearCore, I would have to manage like teams of audio engineers that were in their 50s and 60s, and it's like, who's this young girl telling us what to do? Like,
that got to be so annoying.
Right. It's like, I'm here for a reason, like, obviously.
But I can be really mean, so I don't deal well with that at all. I'll just shred people. I'm like,
but and with Club Cafe, like, we got invited to go down to a Southside Hospitality group meeting before we announced, and I like got to meet all the bar owners. But again, besides like a couple women that were there from like the city and the council, all the bar owners are men. And I'm like, oh I wonder how this is gonna go. And then everyone, I mean, lucky enough, my mom's law firm was right next to Club Cafe while I was growing up, so like the cigar shop next door, Mark, he's known me since I was 10. Chris, the owner of Jack's, has known me since I was a kid. The chiropractor across the street, like, so those three I wasn't worried about. Everyone else, I was like, I hope that I'm treated with respect. And between the Opus One team and the bar owners of Southside, it has been nothing but support and love. It's been,
that's great to hear.
It's incredible.
Especially like the owner of the Urban Tap, John, and Chris, who owns Enclave. They've just been like, we're, you know, couldn't be more excited to be your neighbors, and like, thank you. And
everybody's
been nothing
so
but love.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been really cool.
That's great to hear.
And from all the venues too, like Thunderbird, and they've all been messaging, and they're like, this is so great to hear. We're so glad, you know, and we're all going to work together, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's good to know too. I mean, like, I love the majority of the venues in the city. You know, I love the majority of them.
Some great spots.
Great spots for sure. And so it's good to have another one.
Like doing talent buying too. There were so many times where, you know, if we already had a date on our calendar booked, I would send it to Bottle Rocket or Thunderbird or Brillo Box, and you know, you do that, and then they give it back.
And
you want to collaborate. You want the artist to make a stop.
A stop, and that's something we've been talking about a lot. Is like when you look at tours, they skip us. They do Philly, Cleveland, and so we want to be a part of looking at those tours and bringing those bands here.
That's what you know. I interviewed Chris at Bottle Rocket, and like, I've nothing but a crazy
he's
amount of
great.
respect
We
for
love him.
him.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Like,
We've been
he's-
members since they opened.
Yeah, just doing great stuff for like, to be like unique and like kind of bring new acts to the city
But
and like
keep
create
the
that.
integrity of that
100%.
bar. So funny story. My best friend's family owned that club.
Really?
St. George's Lyceum. And so I've been a member there since I don't even know how long. And when Sousa bought it off the family, we were like, oh no, because everybody, like the guy that ran it, he got cancer and passed away.
Yeah.
And they were just opening it like one day a week, and they knew that they had to get rid of it, and it went to like the committee or whatever. And then when Chris bought it, everything's the same. The signs are the same. He kept the integrity of the club, and that's Pittsburgh.
It's such a great spot.
The Pittsburgh history, like it's cool.
Yeah.
There's not many places like that.
Yeah,
so.
I've played like 4 or 5 shows there, and it's an absolutely a fantastic spot.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good stuff. We got great stuff in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's a great town.
And then you have people like Yins that are doing great stuff and trying to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
And that's the goal of everything, is to kind of communicate that through the podcast and what everyone's doing. And I think it's a good thing. I'm excited about it. So what are your goals? I mean, I know that you just bought this club, and I know that you guys have this business and you guys are managing your artists, but like, is the goal to get like, to grow to grow Keystone into something, much bigger, or, kind of maintain right now? Because I know with growth, you have growing pains.
Right.
So it's like, is it, you want to create manageable growth?
Yeah, I think that's, obviously part of it. Like, we hope to, it would be so cool if like someone headlined a club cafe and they're from Austin, and like Kelby gets to book them with one of our artists, and like whenever those kinds of things make sense, it'll happen. But that's not, we didn't buy it to help ourselves. We bought it to help Pittsburgh and
the artists.
And I mean, the whole arts community. Yeah. And I think like something that I said in our press release was, Reed and Kristen had the idea for us to start our company. Every person that's important to me in my life, I was just talking to my boyfriend about this last night. I was like, no matter how hard certain jobs were, like, I really believe the universe has helped me make decisions to lead me to Danny and my partner and all of these artists that we have. And I think we want to create a space in Pittsburgh where people can have conversations like the conversation that led to us starting our company. People can meet their boyfriend or future partner, whoever their future friend. Like, we really want to make it a third space for people to just feel really comfortable and at home.
It's a good buzzword.
I think too with that, when we did this, we had no expectations. We're like, we're probably not going to make any money. We might make like $5, like that. We didn't know.
Right.
And I still don't think we have any expectations. I think we just do what we love and hope for the best. We do the best that we can.
Well,
for
that'll
everyone
come when you're treating people right. And
right.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I don't think there's like some big master plan that we're like, oh, we're going to be millionaire, which most people think about money first. I wish we did, but we don't. So I don't think there's any master plan. It's just, we're going to do everything we can for our artists and for the community and for the venue and for everyone we work with and our friends and all of that.
When you treat people right, that opportunity comes back. Like,
Yeah.
I remember, having Byron at shows, and then whenever he got the chance to headline New Year's Eve downtown, he was like, I want you to be our stage manager and photographer, and hired me. We all got COVID, but it was a great time.
It was a colder year, so.
And then, Live from the City, who's a local hip hop artist. That
my favorite artist in Pittsburgh.
That event that we did at Trace, we partnered with his record label, Driving While Black Records, and we've been friends ever since. And he texted me a couple days ago and was like, I booked a tour and I want you to come be my tour manager. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that right now, but I love you so much, and let me give you an answer whenever we like figure out a more of a schedule of what we're doing down at the club. But it's like, people remember how you treat them and opportunity you gave them, and
100%.
Yeah.
So it'll all just come back. It always comes back. And that's the thing. I always say that about money. I'm very irresponsible, and it always comes back.
Yeah.
I might not be able to pay my electric bill right now, but in a few days I'll figure it out. It's fine.
Well, I love it. I mean, do you think there's anything that I didn't touch on with, Keystone or Club Cafe or anything that you guys are doing that you want to talk about? We're not done yet. We got to do the ending segment, but
the ending.
I think you asked a lot of questions. I feel
you think I did a good job, a thorough job?
Great job. Yeah.
It's hard to interview 2 different people. It is.
You're doing great.
I'm glad you think so. Now, okay, so the ending segment that I do with everyone is an ending segment called Desert Island Questions.
Oh gosh.
I know. Everyone gets so nervous all the time. Okay, so Desert Island Questions, whatever. I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island and use until they starve to death and die. Since we have 2 guests, we're going to make this an abridged version just so it doesn't take an hour to get through.
Sure.
But so the first category is I usually ask people 3 movies that they like that they would take on a desert island. If in an ideal situation, got in a plane wreck, on a desert island, you have a TV with 3 DVDs, what would they be?
VHSs.
VHSs, yeah, VHSs.
Number 1, Almost Famous, guaranteed.
Yeah, that's fitting. That's fitting.
Yeah.
I know all my 3, so you can keep going if you
Okay. Sweet Home Alabama.
Amazing.
It's a good one.
I'm a dork.
We just, me and my wife just went to Airbnb, just took the dog before we got this other dog and just watched that. That's like one
I
of our
love it.
favorites.
It's
Yeah.
one of my
It's
favorites.
such a
Come
good
on
movie.
now.
So good.
It's so good.
And it's got to be a John Cusack, probably High Fidelity.
Okay. That's
Those are
good.
Good one.
I mean, I could go 10, but I'll stick with those 3.
Yeah.
There's
Big Fish is my favorite movie of all time. And I just saw that our friend Kevin, who does media for us sometimes, he was like in the town of Spectre, Alabama last week with his dog. And I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. It's a Tim Burton film.
Yeah.
Hungry Outlaw.
Yeah.
Oh, that place did look cool with the goats.
That's where they filmed like the heaven scene in Big Fish. Rocky Horror Picture Show, for sure.
Amazing.
I've been going to see that at the Hollywood Theater in Dormont since I was able to.
That's cool.
And then Spirited Away, too, is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I just talked to someone about this.
I think it was Reed.
It was him, but most recently I was at a party and someone told me, he was asking me, he was like, you still do the podcast? And I'm like, yeah. And, we were talking about stuff that we're watching, and I was asking him, because that's why I ask people these questions, because I want to know the movies that I've never seen that people like mention. It's obviously a great movie, so I want to watch it.
Yeah.
But I asked him, and he was like, Spirited Away is probably my favorite movie of all time. And I was like, I need to watch that, because so many people have said it.
I have an extra copy on VHS. I'll mail you it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's
or
great.
you could come to the grand opening and you could give it to him in person.
I'll do that too. I would love to come. You guys got to let me know when that happens. I would love to come down. Okay, so those are good answers. That's a good variety of movies. Okay, so if you both had to pick a book to take with you, you have a favorite book? Do you read?
Yeah.
Yeah. Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. I have a big Vonnegut collection. It takes up my whole mantle in my dining room. I collect like first editions of his books.
Love it.
I hadn't read for like 20 years, and then recently this year
I've been reading a lot.
I'm at 14 books right now.
I know. I never was a reader really, and the past couple years I've really kind of grown a love for it.
I can't talk about a lot of the books that I read because they're inappropriate, but I just finished an incredible book, and now I'm obsessed with this author and I want to read all of her books. It was called The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna.
Yeah.
And man, it was just beautiful and vivid, and I would probably read that 100 times. I just finished it this week.
Yeah, it has about 32-week wait on the library.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's the orange copy.
We'll send it. I'll send it to you with Maddie's DVD or VHS.
That's good. I since becoming a reader, I see all these books that people are talking about, and I add them all to my read list. And I really never read it ever. And then the past couple years, I'm ripping through 25 books, and I'm trying to keep that pace.
I hadn't read in years and years. I'm old, and when I lived in Denver, I was managing a bar, and I was the closing manager. So I went in at 6 o'clock every night, and I had a pool at my apartment, and I started reading Harry Potter. And
swear to God, this month or the beginning of the year, I had to check it off my list.
That's what got me back into reading.
So many people talk about it. I read through all of them.
They're so good. I haven't read the newer ones.
Neither did I.
Last
you
edition
shouldn't
ones.
support her anymore.
Is that bad?
We talked about that.
Read the newer ones.
She's obviously a piece of shit.
Yeah,
but
she's
I don't know
a
anything
garbage
about her.
human.
This
She's
was
very
in 2006.
No. This is
2006. I didn't know any of this. I haven't read them since then.
It's a local bookstore that just just reopened called Woolly Bear Books. Okay, it's in Carnegie.
Yeah, I just saw that.
He just reopened into a bigger space right on Main Street of Carnegie. But talking to him about it, obviously we were talking about our love of reading, and I was mentioning that, and I brought that up. He was like, "Thank God you brought that up." But
I feel terrible. I didn't know that, but I also
I'm a
don't
huge
watch
Harry
news.
Potter fan too.
Yeah,
but
I don't know any of these things.
I'm never
she's a piece of
buying
shit,
anything she
but-
writes
We
anymore.
hate her.
But it's very important for people to be able to have access to that book because of such impact it had on culture. And that's what we were talking about, because I was like, that's why it brought me into your original store, is because I was looking for the illustrated copies as collecting.
I used to work at Barnes & Noble when those came out, and we sold out
Crazy.
every day.
Yeah.
You'd have to get a new order.
It was insane.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting to hear his point of it as a bookstore owner and having those books in there, because obviously she's a piece of shit, but as a bookstore owner, it's important to have those in there because people should have the opportunities to be able to read those.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree with you. Yeah, piece of shit.
Well, I know she has a new series coming out, so that's why I said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We ain't reading that. Okay, so third category I'm curious about. I usually ask people 3 albums to take.
So it's really hard to do that when you're an artist manager,
I
because you're
bet.
going to definitely offend people. So I feel like we shouldn't use any of our
You can't
artists.
take any of your own artists.
Yeah.
I'm talking about shit that you grew up listening to that holds a place in your heart. What was the first CD both Ians bought?
The first
Fergie.
mine was Poison.
Poison?
Yeah,
Those are 2 good vibes.
That would not. Well, I bought it because they all looked so hot with their long hair and makeup, and I was
Hell
like,
yeah.
I'm in love with this band. I was a big hair band girl, but that would not be what I would take to an island. I'd probably do. Oh gosh.
I'm Wide Awake It's Morning by Bright Eyes is definitely on there for me. That is an album that I heard in middle school and have listened to parts of it every single week since. I just saw them last week.
Did you go? I was
Yeah.
going to ask. How was it?
It was my first time seeing. I saw him play with Phoebe Bridgers and his other project.
Yeah.
But it was my first time seeing.
I heard
them
he
live.
sounded great.
Yeah, he was dancing. He was
Yeah.
having the time of his life.
That's good, because a little bit ago he wasn't.
I know.
I'm glad that there was a positive out of that.
Yeah, it was great. I cried the whole time.
That's good.
I mean, I would have to probably go with something real, like either Old Willie or Waylon would be one of them. I don't even know.
Okay, that's
I'd pick
all right.
a greatest hits, because then it would be a little mix of everything.
I like those answers.
Yeah, that'd be one, and then something Bob Seger,
Seeger.
and then if I picked a modern, I'd have to go with Silverado. I mean, I'm obsessed with them.
Who's it?
They were Mike and the Moon Pies, and now it's a Texas country band that I just.
Silverado?
Yeah, I will listen to every single song they have 1 billion times.
Yeah. See, I asked these questions
Yeah.
because now I'm going to listen
They're
to it on, while I'm at work tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can bring them to Club Cafes.
Yeah.
All right, Maddie, what about you?
Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses.
Solid.
Classic.
Solid choice, yeah.
And then it has to be an Otis Redding album too. Maybe Pain Is in My Heart. That's a good one.
Okay.
But I might just go with Greatest Hits too. He's like my comfort artist anytime that I'm feeling any type of way, happy, sad, need to clean the house. It's always like Motown that I put on. He's one of my favorites.
It's as a music person, it's such a hard question.
Oh, it's so difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I don't tell people these ahead of time, because I just want whatever's popping into your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. Best show you've ever been to?
Ooh, also a good question. Hands down. I can't remember the year because my I'm really bad at
That's all right.
remembering things, but it had to be in the early 90s because I was in Florida, in Tampa, Lollapalooza, Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, it would have been insane.
OG, real singer, and then Metallica headlined.
That would have been insane.
And knowing me now, you wouldn't think I would ever choose that as one of the best concerts I've ever seen. But that, hands down,
I had tickets to see them with Run the Jewels, but then COVID happened, so it got canceled, and I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
What about you?
I went to Bon Iver is one of my favorite artists, and I saw him at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, which is one of the most beautiful venues I've ever been in. It's gorgeous, and one of my best friends and I, Callie, we went there. Before he came to Pittsburgh, I just used to be like, wherever he's going, I'm going. I'm just going to buy tickets. Followed him around. But I think for work, too, the coolest show I've gotten to be a part of was the 25th anniversary of the Andy Warhol Museum. Joan Jett headlines, and I got to do photography for her and set up her microphones.
Really?
Yeah, it was
When
awesome.
was that?
Oh, that would have been 2019.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, if you go with a work theory, I would say, and I wasn't working, but thanks to Reed, I went to I was at Born and Raised Festival in Oklahoma, and that's where Zach is from.
Yeah.
And it was his first time headlining, and Reed was like, Zach has 99 people on the guest list. I can't get you artist wristbands until after our show.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fine, because Silverado was at a different stage. So I watched Zach, went over to Silverado, Reed came over, gave us wristbands. So the next day, I got to be on stage for Tanya Tucker.
Oh, wow.
And she had her dog, and her daughter like walked her out, and she just slayed.
Yeah.
She slayed. And that was work wise, like thinking, wow, I'm on stage with a legend, and there's
Yeah.
50,000 people out there.
That's got to be a cool part of the job
It's-
to like,
it's the
get those
best.
perks.
It's the
Like,
best.
I get some
Thanks, Reed
slight
Conley.
perks.
It makes you spoiled, and it makes
It
you
ruins
like
your life.
not be able to enjoy concerts as much too, because you're like
Yeah.
paying attention to the production, and like
Yeah.
you can tell immediately when something is off,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like a band's monitor isn't working. Like
Yeah.
I always notice those
yeah.
little things.
Yep.
Yeah, it's better to have the untrained eye.
It's like that with restaurants too. If I haven't been in a restaurant since 2014, but I see a light out, I'm like, oh, God, it ruins my whole meal. I'm like, somebody needs to change that light.
Yeah, got to be
Yeah.
some good perks to the job though for you to make up for it. Like I get some slight perks. Like I got to go see Charles on his first run
Hell yeah.
with from Nate and Amiko.
That's
And that
awesome.
was cool. Got to sit with Nate's dad and like be out on stage there,
Yeah.
and like that was like
It's so
that was
cool.
the coolest thing that I got to see. But yeah, that got to be fun for you guys.
The
to
stuff that's
do stuff like that.
transpired, like thanks to Reed in the last 3 years, has been like we danced on stage at the Ryman.
Yeah.
For Charles's set.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
that's
what? I know, that was never
unreal.
even on my bingo card.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my
It's
eyes
crazy.
were watering the entire time because
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't fucking believe that this is happening
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, they're
And
so
it
good.
never gets old.
Yeah,
Like,
it really never gets old. Like out of all the music that I've seen live, Charles put on definitely one of the greatest
incredible.
shows of all time.
Yeah.
And just like not even just him, but just obviously the
band.
whole band.
Yeah, all of them.
There's just
Nate's
an
head
energy.
bobbing
Yeah,
around.
Nate's he's like possessed.
I watched
Yeah.
Nate the whole time.
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
I
help
just love watching Amiko. Like I love.
Well, it's really cool watching like Amiko's stage energy was pretty high with the roof
Yeah.
as well. But watching Amiko like in his role that he is now, which
Yeah.
like he has completely come out of his
Yeah.
shell, and it's
Well, he had
so
big shoes
cool.
to fill.
Yeah.
And he did it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big
they
shoes
did
to fill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it gives me chills thinking about it. It's really, 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 really cool. It's good opportunities for me that came from this. Okay, so third to last question is the death row meal. So death row meal, you get appetizer, main course, and the dessert. What are they?
Appetizer is the Summit's mac and cheese in Mount Washington. I
Ooh.
wish I could eat it right now.
Okay.
Ooh,
It's so good. I've been a vegetarian since I was 10,
Really?
and the only thing I miss are chicken nuggets. That's it. Just
Wow.
want like
what was the
chicken strips.
motivation behind that?
One of my really good friends when I was that old showed me a video on YouTube called Meet Your Meat.
Oh yeah,
and it just-
everyone's seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't,
It
and I'm glad I
completely.
don't.
It's fucked up. Don't.
I love
So
meat.
messed up.
I love animals, but
Yeah.
I love to eat food.
I just started eating fish again, and my stomach is like, please stop. What are
Yeah.
you doing? But yeah, definitely just like a bucket of like fried chicken or chicken strips.
Yeah,
or something.
chicken strips is like,
with honey mustard.
oh hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about dessert?
I love tiramisu. It's my favorite dessert of all time.
Any in the city that stick out to your mind that you love?
That raspberry one was good.
Yeah, we went to Alla Familia on Monday, like the 6 of us to celebrate Club Cafe, and they brought out this raspberry tiramisu that was so good. I think the best tiramisu I've had in the city. I'll let you go. I need to think about that.
Go ahead.
So appetizer. I mean, can I have like a food that isn't really an appetizer
Sure.
as my appetizer?
Whatever you want.
Okay, I would eat on my death row meal. I would hands down. I would have fried chicken, crab legs, a lot of crab legs with butter,
Yeah.
and filet mignon. But dessert, I would definitely do banana pudding, like
Yeah.
from the south, like
Oh,
a
yeah.
southern banana pudding.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Just off the top, have you been to Gaijin?
No.
Gaijin is a sushi place, but the tiramisu there, and I'm not even like a huge matcha guy,
Yeah.
but it was matcha tiramisu, and it might have been the greatest dessert I've ever
Where's
had.
that at?
Right in the city, right downtown.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, you got to. It's part of the big. I don't know if it's like one of the.
Is it a
I don't know which one it is. It's one of them big names. It's part
guy
of their
that
groups.
does taco and stuff?
I
It
think so.
Yeah, that's
One of
I think
those.
it is.
Yeah, the first thing that came to mind was Ritual House. My friend
Oh,
took me out
that
for my
sounds
birthday, and their tiramisu is really good.
Okay.
And I would have just like a big bowl of cubed watermelon too. I love watermelon.
A cold watermelon? My wife doesn't like watermelon. She's a nut. Yeah, absolutely insane.
Red
Summer.
flag.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so good.
red flag.
Maddie.
Okay, so after the death row meal, you're getting ready to go on a road trip. You're getting ready to go out on tour with one of your artists. You go into a gas station. What is your snack of choice?
In Florida, Nick and I drove the entire state of Florida for 2 months, and I was like, I need to eat something healthy, and I had just like a joke of getting a gas station apple and was like rating them every day. But definitely like gummy bears and Gatorade, like whatever the blue frost is.
Yeah, the light blue or the dark blue?
Light blue.
Yeah, light blue all day.
And then Chex Mix.
Those are good answers. Those
Yeah.
are
Those
picked a
are
good
really
bit.
good answers.
Yeah,
Love
those are
Chex
picked a
Mix.
good bit. What about you?
I'm close to you. I love snacks.
Yeah.
Like, so normally every time I go into the gas station, I'll buy $20 worth of snacks. Salt and vinegar chips.
All day.
always. And then usually something gummy, either Sour Patch or Swedish Fish.
Yeah, love Swedish Fish.
It depends what mood I'm in. Or they're hard to find in gas stations, but I love them on a road trip. Those Reasons, REI, like the chocolate with the caramel, because they last a long time.
Yep, those
So
are
like,
good.
wow,
Never had
you're
those.
they're so good.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, so like,
That's a good answer.
yeah, it depends if I'm in savory or sweet, but I usually go sweet.
Okay, this is an odd question, but since it's part of your world, what's the most random thing you guys have seen in a green room? You know, on like a rider.
One of the shows that I booked at Spirit, there was like a punk band from Ohio. That was one of my first bookings, and they wanted fresh cut, like 12-inch long stemmed roses. Like, we're very specific about it. And then also wanted like a film camera and specified like a strain of sativa, and I was like, I can't get you that. I mean, I could, but
Not legally.
but not legally.
Yeah. Okay, those are good
It was
answers.
very bizarre. And then I started seeing, from booking a lot more DJs, I started seeing socks on the rider, and they were like, if we're doing a set for more than 3 hours, it's really nice to like go into the green room and just put on a fresh pair of socks. And I
Bring
was
your
like, I would
own
never
socks.
Wow.
think of that. I mean, sure, but it just
Yeah, but
it was a
that's-
good point.
I like
a
that.
good-
Yeah.
That's
Good
interesting.
point, but
Yeah.
weird.
What about you?
I mean, I haven't seen any weird. I've seen some odd, like just people doing things obviously to irritate you, like all green M&Ms and things like that. But
Oh, yeah.
I think the time that really set me off was who are now our dear friends. It was not,
It
their,
was
fault.
not their fault.
It was their agent's fault. There was this huge rider for the WYP Summer Music Fest.
Like 4 pages.
It was like.
Was
I
that for
mean,
one artist or all the artists?
For a duo.
One duo.
artist.
And it was like literally every like 9 breakfast items, 15 lunch items,
Fresh
17
cut ginger.
What, that was the one that set me
cut
off.
ginger.
And I was like, I will buy this whole list,
Psychopaths.
but I will not get
Yeah.
them fresh cut ginger. I refuse.
Those are exactly the types of answers that I was hoping you would
Yeah,
give me.
oh,
But
the
that's-
fresh cut ginger.
That's good.
But then that band like showed up and walked
They were so
into their trailer, and they were like, "Why did you guys do this? We've
Yeah.
been asking him to change that for months."
And I told the station, I was like, I was like, it's a wish list. If you get a quarter of this, they're more
You're
than
allowed
happy.
to cross things out and send
Yeah.
it back.
And they're like, get it all. I'm like, okay, I'm not getting the ginger. I did not.
That's good. Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, last question. If you guys could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why? And please forego choosing a loved one. I feel like it's an assumed answer. Like if you
Yeah.
have a
I go
parent,
straight to music.
Okay.
I didn't even think about a loved one.
who would it be?
Maybe my dog. I've always said the same answer for you, and I thought, I'm like, would I change it? Sharon Osbourne. I would kill to talk to Sharon Osbourne.
Unreal. That's
that
a
woman,
great.
she created really what we do as women. She bossed all of those drug addict men around, and Ozzy wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, can you imagine the shit that she's seen?
No.
Yeah, that's...
And so she would be, I mean, then she was on talk show.
That's such a good answer. I never really thought about that.
My whole life, she is who I...
That's a really good answer.
Yeah.
Very good answer.
I think I would definitely love to have a conversation with Kurt Vonnegut. And I had like a really hard time at the end of high school, and my favorite teacher had Kurt Vonnegut as a professor at Villanova.
Wow.
And I used to just like stay after school and ask him, Mr. Fazio is his name, he's the best, ask him like a million questions. It was like, what was he like? Did he make jokes? Is he as funny? Like just,
That's
and
awesome.
then music wise, I think Marvin Gaye. Yeah.
That's a good answer too.
That's a really good one.
Those are all good answers. You can have some good answers. It's got an exciting story that's kind of being written right now. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks for having us.
This was odd because whenever I messaged the Keystone account, literally 10 minutes later, I got your email and I was like, maybe she saw it. But then...
No, we have like a group message for Club Cafe, and I was like, all right, guys, send me any press contacts you want me to reach out to. I'm scheduling an email for Monday at this time. And Reed was, he was like, did you guys schedule a chat yet? I was like, no, he hasn't reached out yet. And I was like, I'm just going to throw him on this press list. And
I love him. He for being someone that I met just through here, like, you know, he's the type of person that like whenever I was saying it's hard to like come across as like more professional than you are, because you know everyone has a podcast, but for a guy that's fucking playing on stage with Zach Bryan, he could have an opportunity to not even bat an eye at a local dude that's just doing a podcast, but he has been nothing.
he's the most humble guy you'll ever meet.
He's the nicest person alive.
The sweetest guy, and you know, just helped even just get me in contact with Amico, and like, you know, just backed me with people like you. Is just, you know, I can't thank him enough for you know, giving me the time of day.
Clinton Clegg also told me about you probably a year ago. Him and Reed right around the same time.
Yeah.
Love it.
Clinton was like, you've got to talk to this guy. I'll
Also
let
a
him
great
know.
guy. Yeah, I've had him on a couple times, and like, I think it just kind of like you can just kind of see the people that are around that are like really doing it for you know, the good reasons.
And Clinton loves Pittsburgh, the north side, more than anybody.
Oh yeah, and I feel like we're all like-minded. We all just want, you know, to put the city on and make it do things to make it
Put
better.
it on the map.
Absolutely.
Before we get off, you have to tell me about the strawberry, because I just got a strawberry tattooed on me.
Yeah, what's the origin of yours? Why is that?
My boyfriend and I just love strawberries. It's always on the grocery list, and there's a song by one of my favorite band, Camp with 2 A's, and they have a song called Strawberries.
Yeah, I'm hip to that.
We whenever we started dating, we made playlists for each other, and that was like the first song I put on his playlist. So
awesome.
It was a Valentine's Day present this year.
I like that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Funny enough, that's like not really a fruit that I get all the time.
Yeah.
But 6th grade, I played football. I was the only one that was invited as a young kid in middle school to a high school football camp down in Pittsburgh. And all the seniors from my high school, I bleached my hair like every summer, and you know,
bleach my hair too.
As the seniority, you know, they're just like, you're a young kid, I'm not going to take the time to learn your fucking name. It was just like Strawberry Blonde, so they called me Strawberry, and it literally stuck. So I have best friends that I have been friends with for 20 years that they call me Strawberry still, but in high school, principals, teachers
all called you that.
All Strawberry. I've tattooed on my lip.
There you go.
Yeah, so it was that's kind of the origin. So whenever I was like creating the podcast and trying to come up with a name, that was kind of a way to like pay homage to, you know, my life.
Your roots,
my roots, exactly.
That's
so
awesome.
kind of stuck with it.
And the old phones, I love the old phones, because I had a phone that size. My first like cell phone was one of those.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. That's the
That's
origin of
great.
it all. I appreciate it, though. I really do appreciate you taking some time to come and talk to me.
You as well.
Please take a second to promote everything, where people could find your information.
Sure.
All that, you know, Instagram, all the good stuff.
Yeah, so our Instagram is just at Keystone Artist Connect. Same thing as our website, KeystoneArtistConnect.com. For Club Cafe, if you have any emails, it's info@clubcafelive.com. And then Kristen, who owns Two Wands Design, is redoing our website for Club Cafe, and that'll be up soon, but also clubcafelive.com.
That's all of it, huh?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And any show we have going on, any updates with our artists, you can always find them on our Instagram. So
Yeah, and then also with Club Cafe, we're taking over their social media, so everything will be the same as it always was.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, everyone else that's listening, appreciate you as usual. Each and every week, we're back with another great guest doing great things for the city. Thank you for listening. Call you right back. There you go.
Thank you.
So good.